Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here. Seriously, what was it, 6-7 days ago? I was talking to you, everything was positive, Spurs had beaten City, they had a fully fit squad. I actually think I said the words that probably jinxed everything, that I was looking forward to the second half of the season. Oh my goodness, it's like someone systematically started to pull at all the threads of Tottenham Hotspur and just unravelled everything within the space of a week. It's honestly, I was speechless. I am. I've covered this club for, what, more than half a decade now. What are we at? We're at the... God, we're approaching 7 years now. I have had to report on a lot of weird things, a lot of stupid decisions made, a lot of bad luck. I don't think I've ever kind of had to report on such a mad week in terms of just disaster after disaster unfolding, and topped off by an absolutely horrendous performance that there were no real excuses for whatsoever. I mean, let's go back very quickly. So Sunday night, all good. Beating the City. Harry Kane breaking the record. Celebrations on the pitch. Squad, all very happy. Then we found that despite the fact that we saw him jumping on Harry Kane in that aftermath after the interview, Hugo Lloris damaged his knee ligaments and could be out for at least 6 weeks. So that's your captain and your first choice goalkeeper gone. Then we had a really weird press conference where Christian Stellini was asked, first question, as always, Sky always asked the first couple, asked about team news. Everyone else available. Everyone else available bar Hugo. Hurrah! Only Christian Stellini was not counting on the Brazilians, who were having a lot of fun that day. They later invaded the press conference room with a very popular social media chap from Brazil. But that's a whole other story. But before that, they were in the dressing room at Hotspur Way, filming a video. I think it was Richarlison of Emerson. Not realising that in the background was sitting Yves Bissouma with his crutches and a protective boot on his foot. So everyone else available, maybe not so. Whereas I get the impression that Christian Stellini is just saying, yeah, everyone available. And then it's like, move on. It's like, so we've had Pape Matar Sarr has been out with a hip injury in the previous weeks where apparently everyone was available. Everyone else was. Richarlison had that injury. Do you remember when he rocked up at the under-21s that we were told that everyone was fit? And then now we get Yves Bissouma is at the same time appearing in the back of an Instagram video. Oh my goodness, with his crutches and his protective boot. So, Lloris, Yves Bissouma, who had surgery on Friday and a stress fracture in his left ankle. I think he came on against City, didn't he? Late on as well. So that's 2 down. Then, in training, ahead of the Leicester game, you would have seen there was a really good about 7.5 minute video of training, which was quite interesting. It had loads of little bits and pieces. You could see Højbjerg and Sarr, nice relationship. Højbjerg going up to Sarr, giving him a real kind of a bear hug and walking with him. They're walking arm in arm. A good little, may end up being a partnership we're going to see forming there. And various other little bits and pieces, like Alfie Devine very much being part of the first team training squad before I don't know if you're aware of this. So the first team train, they normally warm up, do their stuff in a gym, and then they go on to do their training session. And any under-21s that supplement it, and there's quite a few normally, they meet them in the little kind of tunnel area where they put on their boots just before they go out. And there's a really nice bit, which I've seen before, them do this. The likes of the experienced players like Son, often Kane does it, Dyer does it. They go along and they give high fives to all the under-21s. But Alfie Devine very much looks to be part of that first team group. So yeah, that was that. That's all aside. So the point I was saying about that video was that Ryan Sessegnon's in it, and you can see it. They have a little game where, for some reason, the South Americans and Højbjerg do like a celebration photo kind of thing after a game of keep ball. And Sessegnon comes up to the camera and goes, I don't know why they're doing that. They were last place or something like that. After that, Ryan Sessegnon somehow in training session, whether it was the next day, it was certainly pretty close to the game. Another hamstring injury. Honestly, another hamstring injury. And from what I understand, it's going to keep him out for at least 6 weeks. We're going to talk about these injuries in a little bit more depth later on in this. I'm just gutted for Ryan Sessegnon. I know he's absolutely devastated by this. 22 years old. Poor kid. He just seems to be his thing. Hamstring problems. But yeah, we'll talk about all that in a bit. So, Lloris, Bissouma, Sessegnon in the build-up as well, which I wonder whether he would have started. I wonder whether Perisic might have been seen more as the Champions League player for this week. On top of that, you had Antonio Conte. Came back on Wednesday, he flew back to UK, and on Thursday he was back taking his first Hotspur Way training session. Didn't do the presser. It was agreed beforehand that Stellini would do pre- and post-match presser as he eases himself back in. I know, even as I left the King Power Stadium yesterday, I had someone shout, Ali, where's Conte? Kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, it was all pre-agreed. And again, we'll talk about him. I don't think Antonio Conte was anywhere near himself yesterday. That he looks like a guy that is very much still recovering from having surgery on a gallbladder, 53-year-old man, you know. But again, we'll talk about that as well. We'll do a big bit a bit later on about these, kind of what comes next for all of these people involved. So, let's keep this list going. Lloris, Bissouma, Sessegnon, Conte not being himself. Then, you remember I mentioned, I don't know, I'm laughing, that's really harsh, the £42.5 million South Africa tourism sponsorship, that was vetoed. I told you there was an outrage in South Africa, and that certainly became more of a thing. Well, such a thing that they voted against it. And yeah, so that went. So, yeah. So, Lloris, Bissouma, Sessegnon, Conte looking great. £42.5 million in sponsorship suddenly plucked away that was about to come into the club, which, yeah, I know it's money and I know it's not immediate first team stuff, but it would have benefited things. Of course it would have. So there's that. I'd say, yeah, I mean, you can only say horrendous. The performance was horrendous, Spurs put in. At the King Power Stadium, it was just rubbish. It was rubbish. And then Rodrigo Bentancur. The one bit of light in the gloom, scored the goal, and then we see him, honestly, I haven't seen many players in as much pain as he was in. I've played football my day. What a strike partner up front. I remember him breaking his leg in a match. And he was in a lot of pain that day. And even that, for me, was not as bad as what I could see Bentancur going through on that pitch. So, again, we'll talk about Bentancur in a bit and the potentials. And, of course, you'll have seen... before I started doing this, I saw there was stuff coming out from Uruguay about potential 6 months out and it being cruciate ligament related, which, I'll be honest, we all looked at it and assumed that was it. But we'll discuss all of that. Oh, God. So, yeah, an absolute nightmare. How do you go from a fully fit squad to suddenly losing 4 players and at least 2 of those key starting star men, really? And have that horrendous performance.